Well, thank you everyone for joining us on this Cinco de Mayo, wonderful fifth day of May here. I hope everyone is enjoying their spring. And we are at another monthly membership meetup, and we love to see everyone's smiling face here again this evening. And again, thank you. We know that you're all busy Rotarians, and we appreciate and value your time. So we have a wonderful speaker this evening with us, Cheryl Lewis Blake. She is a retired healthcare executive who volunteers with community incentives, such as the Commission on Aging, Emmanuel Episcopal Church, and the Roundtable Champions for Racial Equality. She's been a speaker at regional and state conferences and has lobbied and testified in Washington for rural healthcare. She was a Rotarian in Los Angeles in the 80s, and then joined the Hastings Rotary Club in 2007, where she is currently the president. And she had a really fun day today, so I'm sure she's going to share that with us. She is married to Jim, and they celebrated 25 years with a blended family of 5 children and 10 grandchildren. She loves to travel. She is an avid reader, an art enthusiast, and a ceramist, a biker, a gourmet cook, and a wonderful gardener as well. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you. I'm not sure I'm all of those things, but it sounds really good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
well,
welcome.
I was really honored and grateful that Margie asked me to share some information with you about our Hastings Rotary Club journey. And so Margie's going to share the slides with us as we go through these. And I'm not a formal presenter in the sense that I speak and you listen. So if I'm going through information pieces and you've got questions, just raise your hand and Margie's going to click on you, and we'll have as much of a discussion more than waiting till the end for questions. Of course, we'll do questions at the end as well. I'm almost finished as Rotarian president. I'm done the end of June. And last year I became president after I had not been on the board for some time. I've been retired for 6 years as the local hospital president and was busy doing some volunteer things, still involved in Rotary and loving to do sergeant at arms and fun things. But we ended up having an unusual occurrence. Both our president-elect and our next up in line had career changes, and there was no one to be president. And so some folks came to me and said, "Hey, would you be willing to be president?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not so sure. There's been some controversy in the club. It's a prickly time." And then I was like, the club has given me so much over the years. I really enjoy my fellow Rotarians and believe strongly in community service. So I was like, why not? 12 months, that's not that long. I can do it every week for 12 months. And luckily, past presidents all agreed that if I was going to travel, one of them would step in for the meetings. So I really feel like the past year has been a team effort more than a Cheryl effort. But let me talk just a little bit about why I entitled this Growing During Prickly Times. And Margie's going to click the slides for me. If we can go to the next one. So I'll talk about Prickly, but first let me tell you about Hastings. We're in West Michigan, and we're a club of almost 80, 79. When I started, we were at 71. We have 3 additional new members in our pipeline, which is kind of exciting. A club that has been well established in West Michigan, 1922. We meet at this marvelous rehabbed building that has a restaurant and a bar, and the top floor is a ballroom. And so it's a place to go that people love to go. It's a real community-oriented place. We meet every Monday because the restaurant is actually closed. They open up special for us. We're upstairs. We have a 50 to 60 minute meeting that includes lunch, network time, and no surprise program. And I'm all about keeping us on schedule. I think Margie will attest that we pack in a lot, and I'm cognizant of the time. We still want to have fellowship, but it's important that folks are working and they get in and they get out on time. Interestingly, our membership is almost evenly divided by gender and by age bracket. We have quite a few younger members, which is a wonderful thing. Okay, so why am I here tonight? Let's go to the next slide. I said that it was prickly, and that's because we had in our club various tribes that weren't happy with how things were going. So we have younger members, and they want change, right? They want things like, I don't want to sing anymore. But then we have half the folks that say, I love to sing, and that's part of our club. Membership is just fine the way it is. This is the way we've always done it. We don't need to change anything. And then there are the people saying, well, I really feel like I'm not engaged. And so feedback like the board makes all the decisions. We don't know what's going on. Persons who'd been in the club for a long time told me things like, we don't feel appreciated. And our meetings weren't bad meetings. They were good meetings, but they were pretty routine without lots of energy or enthusiasm. And 2 years ago, the club had done a visioning exercise, but there hadn't been any communications about what was the outcome of that over time, and if we had done any work to hear what the membership had said. And so in talking with the board, I felt we needed to set a new table for the organization. And what I mean by that is let's really find out what satisfaction is of the membership. Because is this just a few loud voices of younger folks? Is it just a few persons who don't want to change? What really is the climate? And let's see if we can get some data. And so let's go to the next slide. So when the board decided to do this satisfaction survey, and it was a pretty ambitious activity to do, we talked about areas that we saw that we wanted to address in the survey. One is like, why did we drop that visioning 2 years ago? Why did that happen? Why can't we institute change incrementally? How can we improve leadership continuity so somebody doesn't come to a veteran member a month before the end of the year and say, hey, we need you to be president next year? How can we do some new projects? We do quite a bit of fundraising, so we have some resources. What kind of service projects should we be doing? How do we let our membership know that we hear them? And how can we improve that whole thing of communications, create some fun so there's energy? And then as we were all looking at each other, we said, well, are we really doing anything right? It doesn't feel like it. So how many of the group tonight knows that in DACTB there's a Rotary Membership Satisfaction Survey? Do we know about that? It is an amazing tool. And there's two ways that clubs can do the survey. You can do it either on the computer and send it out to people, and it can be tabulated that way. Or I'm kind of old school, and so I love paper, and you can do paper too, and then tabulate it and do percents. And so that's what we did. The reasons that we did it, or the goals that we had, is that we wanted to find out qualitative versus quantitative and have data so that we were able to stand on not people maybe speaking the loudest, but hearing overall what the results were going to be. And it was important from the board to tell the membership that we weren't going to just have the board analyze the results, but that it would be shared with the membership. And so we actually said that we would also use a membership process to create a plan to address whatever concerns came up. And so that was a lot to do. And this is how we get to it, right, Margie? So you go to My Rotary, and under membership researches, if you search satisfaction survey, there'll be a document that pops up. And I'll show you, it looks like this, and people can see that. And it's pretty simple. There's 8 major areas, and people check off, are they agree, they disagree, they somewhat disagree. And then there's also satisfied, very satisfied, good, excellent, poor. So it's easy. It's not a hard survey to do. It's pretty easy. So, okay, process. Let's talk about how we did this. So we decided that in November, this was November last year, that we would distribute the survey every meeting for 4 meetings. And we would also send it out. So there was lots of opportunity to be able to fill out a survey. We took one of our club meetings and actually had a table facilitator, which were board members. And we used a sheet that said enhancing the club experience and actually typed out what exercise we wanted people to go through. And that was important because we wanted people to start talking in their group. And the kinds of questions that we ask are, what do you enjoy most about the club? And if you could craft an ideal experience, what would that look like? So people filled out their surveys, they had a discussion, put the stuff down on big tear sheets, and then I took them home and summarized them. So once we did that, at our December board meeting, we looked at our results. And so it was actually pretty surprising. Actually, it was pretty wonderful. And so I've done surveys in the past in healthcare. We have patient satisfaction surveys. If we get a response rate of, I don't know, 25, 30%, we're fine. This was almost 48% response, and which was shocking. But what was the most surprising thing to me is that 97% of the responses were very satisfied. People were very satisfied with the club. So we had all these little things going on, and this supposedly a prickly time of difficulty, when actually the overall membership was really pleased with how the club was running. And so from that, I learned we don't need to overhaul anything. What we need to do is tweak a little bit, right? You tweak, you don't overhaul. And so people were happy with the food. They liked our speakers. They loved the location. They liked that we kept meetings going on time. And then my favorite response from the survey is that everyone who filled out the survey, whether it was online or on the sheets, 100% of them said, I'm proud to be a Rotarian and I'm proud of my Rotary Club, which I don't know, was pretty good. So that was the survey. Then more process, right? Once we get the survey done, then we have to talk about how are we going to share it. So I not quite ready for actions yet. I'll talk a little more about the planning. So once we had all the information and the board reviewed the data that I shared with them, then we had to talk about what does that really mean for us and what kind of process do we want to do with the membership? Because picture there's going to be 60 people participating in this information on what the summaries are. We couldn't share lots and lots of sheets of detailed statistics because otherwise everybody would like delve into that and want to know question 21B. Why is that? There were comments, but it was interesting. There were only a half a dozen person that did comments. And so we didn't want to focus all of our energy on the comment section because that didn't statistically represent how people truly felt. And so we decided we would do a process, again, where our board members would be table facilitators. I was so proud of them for doing this. And so we had no surprise big tier sheets where we wrote stuff down, but we had, when Rotarians came in and after lunch, I had them stand up, number off 1 to 8, and then they went to different tables depending on their numbers. Because as we know in our clubs, and most clubs, folks like to sit with their friends, right? And we felt it was important to mix everybody up. So we had not just friends sitting with each other. And so one of the other aspects that I felt was important, and some of the board members had indicated they wanted to see as well, was to use the visioning exercise that had been done a couple of years before that outlined what the goals and kind of areas of emphasis that membership had wanted the club to work on. And we were surprised when we looked at that to find out many of the things that had been articulated had been accomplished. And so those younger members who had really pushed for that visioning exercise were able to see that their voices kind of had been heard. And because we were involving the whole club in the satisfaction analysis, they got to feel like their voices were heard as well. And so I prepared a guide for the facilitators. I didn't put all this in the thing, but 4 questions to go at each of the tables to make it easy, because some of our board members are not facilitators, right? They have other jobs and talents. And from that, we ended up getting our priorities. And the sheet that you see up on the screen is the culmination of the planning. And so 6 of the 7 tables identified the number one thing that they wanted to do more of, or they wanted to see change, was community projects. So our club had big things that they did at the plaza, and we do the roadside cleanup, but they really felt that we were a club that had a history of giving money more than doing activity sets. And so a couple of persons volunteered to be the leaders. We would create a monthly volunteer opportunity for members to participate in sign-up sheets. And so that's been happening now, and it's great. It's going really well. We also determined that with the resources that we had, with the money that we had in the bank, we really needed to do a major project in the community, a major capital project in the community. And so we had our city manager come and talk about what the city priorities were. And we spent 2 board meetings trying to discuss each of the pros and cons of those opportunities. And we decided to work on 2 projects the next 3 years. And I'll talk about leadership continuity in a few minutes and why it's important if you're going to tackle a big project to make sure one lines up all the leadership pieces, so whatever you're doing in 1 year doesn't fall off the ledge and stop moving forward. We talked a lot about membership to re-engage them. And I interviewed and talked with some newer members to find out from them what they felt was important. We started a more structured mentorship program, which was great. And our membership leader actually moved from, this is the way we've done everything and it's fine, to, okay, here's how I'm going to go about doing things differently, and involving a couple of additional persons in that process. We still have opportunity to enhance our early experience with new members, but we're doing better. And then we haven't done a lot of international projects, but that was really something that the club felt was important and we wanted to strengthen in the future as well. So what have we been doing? And I'm sharing these things because we're kind of pleased that they worked. And some of them are almost silly. I mean, how can silly things work? But they work, right? So to create more fun, how do you go about doing that? Well, we had themed meals. Somehow I feel like I'm a kindergartner, right? I'm teaching kindergartners. We're going to have decorations and have themes, but we did that. So we celebrated Cinco de Mayo, for example. We did things. We did Chinese New Year. I tell a joke every time. I'm not a great joke teller. Or I end up having quotes that are inspirational or funny every meeting. We always do happy bucks. Sometimes we did happy bucks in the past and sometimes we didn't. But if you end up doing happy bucks, you create this energy of people sharing the positive things that are happening in their life, and you get to connect and understand when people celebrate an anniversary, have the birth of a grandchild, personal things as well as professional. I would encourage people to do happy bucks every meeting. And then we decided to do we always meet at noon on Monday. We decided that when there's a 5th Monday, we won't have a meeting and we'll have drinks at 5 o'clock for networking. So that gives us about 4 meetings a year, and the younger persons always show up for this, you guys. And last time we did Margarita Monday for membership. So what that means, we went to a local restaurant, We had margaritas, and we also had appetizers. And to come, you were supposed to bring a new member, potential new member. And we got four people that were, two of them have come, and the other two are in process. And so I encourage you to think of things like, what do 30 and 40-year-olds want to do? Well, they want to have drinks, they want to have fun. And so if we want them in our club, we have to figure out avenues to do that. So the service opportunities I mentioned, we are collaborating with a lot of other entities in town that are already doing service. For example, our YMCA has camp, and we have long cooked pancakes all summer on Fridays for their breakfasts. But in addition, this year we're going to clean up cabins, and we're helping to launch the docks and do some other work. There's a monthly activity that will occur all through not only 2025, but 2026 as well. The other thing that I think has made a difference is communications. And what I have tried to do is to tie, whenever we do anything or have any announcements, back to the survey. So it's the why are we doing this? We are doing this because we heard you. This is what you said in the satisfaction survey, and this is the action that we're doing as a result from what we've heard from you. And if you say that at one meeting, fine. When you say that for 4 months, finally people are like, oh, they took that to heart. So I mentioned the service and capital project. That really inspires us too, and I think it makes the board feel really important to have launched a vision of doing a major project for the city. Won't happen on my watch, and it probably won't even happen on the next president's watch. It'll probably be a 3-year before it's completely done. And then for leadership continuity, you guys at your levels and zones all over know how when we do work, it's important not to stop and start, right? You don't want organizations to stop and start. You want them to have continuity of purpose, continuity of mission, continuity of leadership. And so not only have we established the next couple of years of leaders, and we did that early into when I became president, we also established not only the committees, but decided that we needed written descriptions for the committees. And we had at one of our meetings, the committee chairpersons stand up and talk about what they did and the purpose of their committee. And so that gave people a little bit of bragging rights, and it also empowered newer members to hear things and maybe volunteer for stuff that they hadn't thought of. And those are categories like, there are committees that do the weekly stuff like Sergeant at Arms, prayer, meet and greet. But then there's, we have every few years, we have Trees of Remembrance, which is a beautiful program where we have a tree and a plaque in one of our local parks, and we go out and have a meeting and honor those Rotarians who have passed. And so that's a major activity for the club as well. So, and I think we changed our attitude of recruitment for new members from that's really the membership chair's job to it's all of our jobs. And we've seen a difference in how actively people are inviting people to come to the club. So that's really all I pretty much had to share with you. I'll be happy to take questions. I love this quote by Mahatma Gandhi: the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. I guess if there were a couple of takeaways, what's the top 3 things? I always love that because I wouldn't always listen to the speakers when they talked about everything, right? I'd say, what are the top 3 things? Number 1, figure out what your membership wants. Don't think you know what the membership wants. Find out what they want, and then craft a plan with them to meet their needs. But no matter what, I think we need to have more fun. And creating ways to have fun and to work together, as you well know, makes a big difference. Depending what your club says, your membership says, there could be a whole list of things that they want to do. And that's just overwhelming for people, right? Too much. So pick one or two things, just one or two for the year. When they see that progress, then they'll have encouragement and really believe that you're a person that follows through on his or her commitments. So with that, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. That was very informative. And I love how you tie things back to the survey to show them, reiterate, we're listening to you. We want to do what you want. And that's really key. And I love your themed evenings and having fun. We all want to have fun. Our members say that constantly. The connections and having fun are really important to them. Does anyone have any questions for Cheryl?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Jerry, yes?
Yes, I think you said you have meetings every week, once a week. Is that correct?
We do.
And I've heard a lot of clubs say that that's too often, that they've gone to lesser number of meetings. But what do you do at each meeting? You have a speaker, how do you keep it interesting week after week after week?
Yeah. Well, if you remember, I said that we got pretty rote and it wasn't, it wasn't so exciting, right? And so figuring out how to have your meeting be interesting is a challenge by itself. So our routine is that we start the meeting, it's a pretty ritualized agenda. And so we start by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. We sing, but now we only sing half the time because part of the members don't want to sing. Well, part of the members do want to sing. So what do? You compromise. You sing half the time. And you make sure those that don't want to sing know that we're not singing because it's a compromise. Then it sounds silly, I know, but it works. Then we always have an invocation and just a time to pause and to be thankful. We then, and Jerry, I'll be happy to send you the agenda. We follow the same agenda pretty much. We have a youth group called Interact. And so our students come and they end up giving the school news. And this is a great practice where they have to stand up in front of 30 or 40 people and speak, right? And they talk about things, and some of them are awful, right? They're just awful. Some of them are great. And they talk about the play. They talk about things like their school scores. And then we throw $1 in and they always get half of the money for the club. And that takes like 5 minutes or so. Our programs are only 20 minutes long. We have Sergeant at Arms, and our Sergeant at Arms finds people, and it's usually competitive per table, and or they just do happy bucks. And I'm telling you, happy bucks is the way to go. So then we have a program, and it's 20 minutes long. And so whoever speaks, even if they're not a great speaker, it's only 20 minutes. There's a program committee, and so they set people up. And there's different things. There's social service agencies. Some of the manufacturers have come and spoken. Margie has done different programs. We have district Rotarians come. And occasionally we do process things like I did with the planning. That was 2 or 3 meetings worth of internal workings versus a speaker speaking to us. And then we always end with the four-way pledge. We always do that every meeting. It's a ritual. Did that answer your question, Jerry?
Yes, very much. Thank you. And I appreciate you sending that agenda that you mentioned.
I will. I don't know how to do that, but I'll make sure that Margie gets it so she can send it to you.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi.
I'm a kind of person that always likes to have fun. So when I've been president 3 times, but one of the times that I was president, I really wanted to mix it up because again, our club seemed to go on the downswing. The enthusiasm was dropping. I could see that. And so what I did was I introduced a local band to come in and play while we ate. I brought in some actors to act in a theater. I had scheduled us to go through a walk in the woods and got a person a ranger, a local ranger, to talk about different things, the flora and fauna, and some of the safety things in there. So mixing it up really did re-engage the membership, because they were like, what is she going to do next? And it kind of
Wonderful.
made them think, what am I going to do? What's next? My problem was sometimes I went over the top. So I was also chair for community service. And I agree with you, have a project every month, once a month. But what happened with our club was the the feedback that I got as the year went on was, that's too many. We're getting tired. We don't want to do anymore. Or please just reduce it to, a smaller amount, maybe once every quarter instead of once every month. And it it kind of it kind of was a little bit disappointing, because where are you going to get that energy? So I guess I'm looking for you as to how would you counter that as an answer?
So I would, first of all, did they all say that it's too much, or did just one or two say that it's too much? So I would look,
Several,
I would
yeah,
look, I would look to do the survey to see what they wanted. And so
yeah.
it doesn't have to be this survey. You can come up with something a bit different or use that as a modification. But listening to the members and not listening to a member is so important. And we've joined Rotary for service. So if you're not interested in service, then maybe it's a different club that you're interested in. Now, we have some members, not myself, of course, who are aging, but we have some members who are really more frail, and we don't expect them to be able to do the kinds of service activities of putting the boats and the docks in at the Y Lake, right? And so we have to be respectful of people as well, but by and large. And then if we find a person that's not very engaged, having a friend of theirs talk to them, or having the president or one of the board members check in with them to make sure that they're okay and they haven't just dropped off for some reason we don't know about, is important too. It takes a lot of effort, but it's a really good thing for membership to do. So that's all. That I wish I had the answer for you.
Thank you. We do have a question in the chat here from Jeanette asking, why did your club drop the visioning process?
I think it got dropped. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't something like, oh, we hated the visioning process, we're not going to do it anymore. It was a transition of leadership. And so the new president came in, and that individual didn't, in my opinion, seize the opportunity to stand on that visioning platform to interact change. That individual saw their leadership role in Rotary as really conducting the meetings and making sure everything just kind of happened and you kept going. And so once membership, I believe, feel that they're not being heard, it kind of goes to the core of why they participate in. Anyway, so we needed to step back and make sure we looked at that. But it was dropped, not purposely, but by accident.
Thank you. Scott, you have a question?
Sure, it's more of a comment probably, but I really agree with the way Cheryl used the survey to gather everyone's opinion, because it's often the case that there's a vocal couple in a club or two or three people that will say, nobody likes the menu, or no, and it's, very much hyperbole. And you think, wow, everyone hates our program. No one likes our speakers. And yet, no one wants to sing "O Canada" or whatever it is. And then you think, no, 2 people out of 32 don't want us to do that. Or one person doesn't like the Mexican night food or whatever. So to kind of share that back and so people see that we're making decisions based on facts, and it does kind of reorient your own thinking. If you think, I don't like maybe Mexican night, but if 95% of my club does, okay, I have to pick a different food item that night or whatever. but good to use the projects. And I love that you, I was a hospital executive too, and I know we would always try and feedback the survey results to say, we heard you. We actually had a section in our newsletter that said, we heard you. And, you asked for better lighting in the parking lot, and we did it. Here's when they're being, whatever it was, just to kind of, feedback to people. We heard you, and we followed up with action that you requested. So thanks. Good presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, Jerry Lochinauer here again. I got two questions. One, you mentioned, I think you have the Interact students come to your meetings. And I guess my question is, do you have local Rotaract college students as well? And do you have them come to every meeting or just once a month? Or how do you handle that?
So unless Margie knows different, we don't have any college students at this time, although we would love that. We don't have a college in town. We have a community college, so we don't have college students. Our Interact Club is fairly good sized, and so they send 1 or 2 members every week, unless school's out. Right when school's out, they're not coming, and they're incentivized because we put in a $1 in the bucket, right, and then we split the money, and so they get to have money for their club. And we decided this year, I forgot to put this in the presentation, that the visioning several years ago said we should have an Interact student on the board. And see, there's a great example that nobody had really done that. And so midway this year, we have an Interact student that comes every month to the board meeting. And she is exceptional. She is really good. When we did some of our processing of picking the projects, she had a lot of feedback on what was important to her from a youth viewpoint. So, boy, having those kids involved is just so valuable to the club.
That's fantastic to have that perspective from the Interact there. That's fantastic. Any other questions?
I would like to add, our district also has added an Interact District Council where we have 7, 8, 9 members of interactors from different clubs come onto a council, and they just finished their first year. They planned their Interact conference and a winter project and a spring project for all the clubs to participate in, Interact clubs. That was pretty awesome as well.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. We value your time, and thank you for presenting for us. And you're really doing an amazing job as president. And we love to hear that your club is growing and thriving and having fun. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We welcome any ideas that you have for this monthly membership meeting. We will be continuing throughout the next Rotary year. So please send them my way, send them to Margie, send them to Louisa. We'd love to hear your ideas, and we value your feedback and what you have to say about these meetings. So thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. Happy Cinco de Mayo today, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Enjoy your May. We hope to see you back in June. Oh, sorry, before I forget, Wednesday, we have our new membership orientation again. We've done it 3 other times. It's happening again on Wednesday. It has been extremely well received. People are absolutely loving the format, the information, and the slides. So please join us Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Or any new members, anyone who wants a refresher on what Rotary is, what it's all about, please join us then. Thank you so much, everyone.